Hello, my name is Jamie and I am a guy that crochets. I don't really make a lot of videos, so sorry if I don't sound super professional. Um, I want to do a video where I just kind of showed off what I have in my little to-go crochet kit because when I first started crocheting, and even after I got into crocheting more, I would go out and look for videos and see what people were using or what their everyday carry stuff is for their crochet projects. So I'll go ahead and start out just by showing off the bag. So this is a really small bag. It's a drawstring bag that I got off of Etsy by a seller who uses these different Japanese themed prints. I thought this was I just ran across it looking for small bags for crochet stuff because, yeah, I just thought these cats were really cute on here. Sort of mixed in with all of this normal looking patchwork. And there's just like little cats peeking out, and I thought that was cute. And some little Japanese like cherry blossoms and that kind of thing. The designer has a tag inside, and so I will tell you what the designer is here. Zukuri Designs. So you could probably look up this name, search it on Etsy, and to find this shop. And this person had more bags similar to this. I can't remember if there were different sizes, but different prints for sure they have on there. So there's a lot of sorry, this is a small bag, so it doesn't fit like a lot of stuff, but it's just about the right size for a project and some basic little tools and stuff that you would need. I don't use it very often other than just to have a place to keep my stuff in, because I don't need to carry it. I usually crochet at home, but it's good for containing just the tools and the things that I use more frequently. So yeah, cool bag. It doesn't have any pockets inside of it, but yeah, it's kind of got like a square bottom, which I like. It helps it to stand up, and then you can just pull these strings and boom, like that. So that's my bag that I keep my stuff in. I also have like a storage box because I have a lot of stuff, and this doesn't hold everything that I own, but like I said, just the basics. So what I keep in this bag specifically right now is a pair of snips, and I apologize for my hands. I am not a hand model. I have sausage fingers, but whatever. So I have these little scissors. They're called Ginger. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. I think it's well, I can't remember if it's a German or Italian company, but they're made in Italy. You can see there, it's upside down, but you can see that they're made in Italy. Anyways, it's on my eyeball. Let's see if how functional I can be with doing things in front of this camera without looking at my hands. So yeah, these are really nice little snips. I use them for clipping yarn. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the camera itself and it's throwing me off. And I don't really want to edit any of this right now, so anyways, these are really nice little snips. I think they're right now, you can get them on Amazon for somewhere between 20 and 30 bucks, I think. And that seems a little steep for just some embroidery scissors, but they do work really well, and I have had a few different ones, and this particular brand is great for these. I do also have a pair of Ginger dressmaking shears, and those are really awesome, and I was excited to have them, but I noticed after leaving them in the sewing basket for like less than a month that the blade just randomly decided to start rusting, and I have read reviews that happens with that particular model. So I wasn't super shocked, but that kind of sucked. These I've had for about the same amount of time as those, and I haven't had any problems with the blades rusting. They're really shiny, really sharp, and they snip the threads. So yeah, so that's those. Let's see. Oh yeah, another thing too is if you have something like this, they say, whoever they are, that you should not use these on anything other than fabric or yarns. So like you don't want to cut plastic and paper with them. You want to use like regular scissors for that kind of thing, in case you didn't already know. And if you did, well, sorry for all the extra information. Okay, anyways, this is the next thing that I have in here. This is just a little tape measure. I'm not exactly sure how many feet this is, probably like 10 feet or something, but this comes in handy for measuring. You could measure like, you know, your swatches with this. I don't really use this as much as I thought that I would use it, but I know that there are times when something like this would come in handy. I'm not good about measuring swatches and doing that kind of thing as often as I should. Sometimes I go into things blindly, but I do realize that with certain projects, especially ones that are wearables, that having some type of tool to measure your swatches with, or even your finished projects or as you go along, this would be a useful tool. And I have used it before, I just don't use it hardly very often. Anyways, so those are always good, and this is just a little freebie. Sometimes there's actually something printed on the other side. I'm not going to show it because I'm not doing an advertisement video right now, but this was just a little freebie giveaway, and so you'll often see these little cheap tape measures being given out by different companies or organizations trying to promote themselves, but they come in handy. And here is a stitch marker, or sorry, a stitch counter. This is made by Clover, which is a Japanese company that makes needles and supplies for knitting and crochet and all kinds of stuff, but mostly like knitting and crochet. And it's the nice thing about this is all of their products are basically made in Japan, which I think is really cool. Japan has makes a lot of high quality products. And my experiences with Clover products has been good. This thing works really great. You just click it, you know, to count your stitches. It's a nice solid click, nice solid push, and then it just kind of switches. You can take it all the way up to, I think it's 99, and then it switches back to 0. And then if you want afterwards, you can go in and manually move it to 0 but you have to do it on each side. So anyways, this is good for projects where you get to anytime you need to count your stitches. I typically will count my stitches more so when I'm doing like afghans and blankets and stuff, or doing rounds in amigurumi projects where you need to make sure you know how many rows you've done. And then I'll actually use this mostly just to count my rows rather than stitches. So I use this a lot, by the way, more than I should admit. Let's see, go into another little Clover project here. This this is the Clover needle set here you get. There's different ones of these. There's one that is more like I think all darning needles, and it's yellow, and then there's this that has like 3 basic needles that you get, and this is a really solid little tube here. It's plastic, but it's a really high quality plastic. So I have never felt, even this cap here is made of plastic, but I've never felt like this is gonna crack or break or wear out anytime soon. This part down here does not come off. And then it's got this little hole on the cap that I think is kind of neat. I use it just to put some stitch markers on it. So kind of initially I wasn't carrying stitch markers in my bag at all. I just put a couple on this and I thought, oh, well, that's, you know, good. That's all I'll ever need. And then of course, as it turned out, I worked on a project where I needed like 20 stitch markers just to keep my brain organized. And I realized that I needed more than this, but I still keep a couple on here just because they're convenient. If I just happen to have this like sitting out because I'm using the needles, like, and I need a stitch marker, I can just be like boop and get one. So yeah, and in here we've got this is sort of your big needle here. I don't know the names of all these, but this is a big one, and this is for mostly what I use it for is the chunky yarns. So this works well in like the Bernat blanket yarn, that kind of thing. There's also one that's just the next size down in here. Ooh, I'm gonna lose all my stuff. Oh well. This is another needle that comes in it. It is much smaller. There's also, I'm just not gonna take this other one out, but you can see two smaller needles. They're both different sizes. One is really small, closer to like a sewing needle, and the other one is going to be good for like acrylic yarns. Yeah, so all the sizes of needles really I've ever needed right here. And this comes, you can buy this I think for like $7 and some change. Amazon sells it. Same with these right here. You can get these on Amazon. The Ginger embroidery scissors. I think they call this like the 4-inch or 3.5-inch size or whatever. This you can get on Amazon. I can't remember the price of that. I think it's under $10. Better be, because it's just a little plastic thing. Anyways, and then here we've got this that I got for free. But you can find these, oftentimes they're like little, oop, I'm showing stuff. Maybe I can block that out. So anyways, it doesn't matter. But you can get these on Amazon as well. Sometimes they're just kind of little cheapo bulk, like Chinese imported things, and you can get like a bunch of them in a pack for a really good price. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and show my stitch markers that I use here. So I'd have a little Trader Joe's tin. I have a lot of these just different size little tins that I like to keep my stitch markers in. These are my new stitch markers I got. I had plastic ones for a really long time, but they don't work as well. They're a little too thick for the, like these plastic stitch markers here are a little too thick for my thinner yarn, like the super fine that I've been using lately. And so I needed something thinner. And so I bought these from the Hobby website, based in Denmark. And these are really nice little stitch markers with sort of like an anodized aluminum look, kind of like the Boy crochet hooks. But they're thin, and so they work really well for like if you're needing to keep track of your stitches and some of that smaller yarn, if you're working on a project with that. So, and then of course these particular ones I saved the purple, the green, and the gold color from the package, and the rest of them I am probably gonna donate, or I don't know what I'm gonna do with them. But the other ones are painted that the set came with, and I had read somewhere that the painted versions of these can sometimes come off on the projects if you're working on, and I do not want my projects to be ruined by paint rubbing off on things. So I pulled out the ones that looked like they were plated to keep in use, and the other ones, bye-bye. And there's the gold one. And then I also got these at the same time, which are safety pins. Just your average little safety pin, little gold safety pin. And these are, I think, the 7/8 inch safety pin. I sought these out specifically because they don't have a coil at the end here. They're called coilless, and these are a brass plated safety pin. I can't remember where I got them from, but if you look up coilless safety pins, the smaller sizes, like 19 millimeters or less, are going to be good for, or 19 centimeters or less, are going to be good for using as stitch markers. Although, I thought they would be fantastic. They work okay, but these ones I like better. The light bulb, the bulb shaped ones, because they just are easier to put in your stitch when you're marking it. But anyways, so those are those. Got those again on the hobby website, for I think less than $4, and it came with like a whole bunch of different colors. So I will probably never need to buy those again. Sorry, I'm sitting on the floor right now and my leg just fell asleep, and so I'm trying to get through it without dying. So bear with me. I have a tingle happening right now. So this is another item that I keep. I don't use it very often, but when I do need it, I have them. They are called, I think they're called magic pins. Yes, magic pins. And these are the super fine. These are the super fine magic pins. They come in different sizes. At the time that I bought these, everybody was talking about how wonderful they were. They're pretty great, I gotta admit. The tops are not like a soft rubber. It's actually like a hard plastic. And these work really great just to, like if you need to put your ears and your noses in place on your amigurumi project, or just pin some pieces of fabric together, you can use this to hold your position everything and put them in place until you're ready to sew them on. And these are just great little pins. No complaints. They do what they're supposed to do. They're a little thin. They are the super fine version, like I said. And so for larger amigurumis, like the chunky ones with the chunky, bulky yarn, these don't work very well because they just aren't strong enough to hold the ears and the pieces in place if you're doing something that requires sewing things on. So I do have other pins that I don't necessarily carry with me in here that are thicker and better for that thicker yarn. So have lots of different types of pins. It won't hurt. So the sorry, I'm gonna move a little bit. Dead leg. All right. Crochet hooks. I have right now I'm mostly using the Tulip brand crochet hooks. So here we have a 6.5. They are made in Japan. It says so right there. And they're very smooth, and if you look, they are literally, they don't have any imperfections. They're basically perfectly symmetrical, or whatever you would say. And very smooth when working on most types of yarn. I have been using this size of hook, the 6.5 millimeter, for some of the chunky yarn projects, because I have been making things, and I did do a couple markets recently in the last couple of months, just to try that out. I'm not like a regular market person, but I have been dabbling as of late, and it's fun. So this is a good hook to have with you if you do a lot of that kind of amigurumi with the larger yarns. So I've got one of those, and I also have a smaller one. This is the smaller one, 2.20 millimeter, 3 0 size. This is a very small hook, but this is one of the reasons why, and I'll show you, I like tulip hooks, is because if you look at them, they may be different sizes, but look at how, like, I don't know if I can get that to focus. Here. There. But it looks exactly the same as the big one, but it's just smaller. And so that's one thing I really like about these, is how perfectly the same they all are. A very reliable quality. These, I haven't had any issues with these metal pieces pulling out of the grips, which is something with cheaper versions of these types of hooks I've had issues with neither of these. And I have several crochet hooks. These are not the only ones that I have, but these are the ones that I keep with me right now because I don't know. This is the type of yarn I'm working with that requires these hooks, and the projects I've been working on. So those are like my two, I call them like my utility hooks, or my gray and gold ones. I heard some really awesome stuff about these Murasaki model. It's called Murasaki, I think. Murasaki version of these tulip crochet hooks. So I also have one of those that I purchased on from an Etsy seller that gets them from Japan, because these are a Japan exclusive hook from Tulip, and they have the exact same shape as the other ones. However, there is a slight, almost like a lavender sheen to the aluminum, and it is, to me, I don't notice it too much, but supposedly it's supposed to be a little bit more catchy, or a little bit more matte than the other ones on the hook part, and people say that that's good. I think that it is a great thing. I have used both of these hooks. They both work very well for me. I would love to say that this Murasaki hook is way better than this one, but I can't. I think they both work really well and feel pretty much the same when you're crocheting. This one, the gold one's a little more slippery. So if you're new to crocheting, maybe you want to stay away from slippery hooks and go for slightly more matte hooks. But isn't that pretty? You ever think you would see lavender aluminum or like a lavender sheen? It's just, I don't know, pretty to look at. Anyways, I'm the type of person, if I see things that other people have, I just automatically want them. And so I have to be careful when I'm watching YouTube videos, because if I see crochet videos and people are showing off their fancy hooks, I'm like, I'm gonna find a way to afford that, and I'm gonna get it. And that's what happened with this. So, but was it worth it? Not really, because I already had this one and I didn't need it. But now I have two, and I'm planning on doing a lot of crocheting with the super fine yarn that I've been using, and so it doesn't really hurt to have a backup crochet hook. I'm all about the backups. The last thing that I keep in this little bag right here, so all this stuff I keep in here. The last thing that I keep in there is, I currently have this Ziploc bag with two of these small 8/4 Lind Hobby super fine yarns, crochet thread, whatever you want to call it, cotton, and it fits in there perfectly in the Ziploc bag. I also have this one in there, which is also another basically two skeins of this small superfine cotton yarn. So this bag can fit a lot. And with these two bags of yarn and all of these crochet things right here in this little bag, it's still not stuffed full. It's just full enough. So these are great little bags. You should get one. So here is what I have in there right now. And this is a project I've been working on to use as, sorry, somebody just walked by and I was talking really loud and I'm so embarrassed, but I don't care now. Moving on. Here is what I've been working on with this 8/4 cotton yarn from Lind Hobby. It is going to be a crochet hook roll. And I picked these colors specifically because it reminded me of Spumoni ice cream, which I like. And anyways, so yeah, you can keep your projects that you're working on in this bag, and it fits all this stuff. It's great. All right, so outside of that bag, I'll show you some of my other little tools and things that I have. This I used to keep in the bag. So as of right now, all of the stuff that I'm showing you is from my box where I keep my extra crochet and craft tools. This little thing right here is just some blush that I use for the cheeks to add color to some of the amigurumis. I do have a piece of napkin inside, which has helped to prevent a lot of the powder from leaking out into the bag. And then I had to put it in a Ziploc bag too, and then I took it out of this because I was tired of it getting on all my stuff. So yeah, maybe that doesn't happen with more expensive blushes, but anyway, so I keep that in my box. Good to have. This is like a 3-in-1 multi-tool for wire and I guess beadwork. I don't know exactly. I don't use it for wire bending and beadwork. What I use these for is for making, bending the little loops for my keychains. And in this one I just bought recently, I'm gonna use for bending this wire for some skeletal internal features on some of my amigurumi. A lot of people will I've never done this before, so this will be the first time I ever did it, but you just kind of bend these wires into a shape of whatever part of the body that you're working on, and then you can actually pose that part of the amigurumi, so kind of cool. And anyway, so point being, you use these to bend that wire, and that's why these are helpful. You can also, it has a cutter right here, so you can clip the wire with it too. This one right here I use specifically for actually bending these little, I think they're called jump hoops. I put these little pieces on top of my amigurumi to use as keychains. So this I just you can kind of bend it with these. These are the first ones I got, but I realized I needed something to sort of manipulate the wire a little more, and so I got these ones with the more rounded part in front. I just got these from Walmart for like, I think they were $6. And then these black ones I got from Hobby Lobby. I keep a little loop on the end of them to keep them from opening up. And it works really well. I had to bend it into kind of an oval shape because that's the shape of this piece. But yeah, it keeps them from opening up and poking everything. And there I also have this was just a cheapo set of paintbrushes that my mother gave my partner. And he wasn't using them, so I hijacked them and I had to cut off the ends so that they would fit in some of the bags that I have, specifically this Ziploc bag right here. And these are kind of thin, little brushes, and they're good for putting on like makeup details, blush on smaller amigurumi and that kind of thing, or painting. Sorry, I'll be right back with ya. I'm digging for the next thing here. Okay, I'll show you this. Yeah, I'll show you this just because I pulled it out and I think it's kind of cool. So this is one of the Tulip Japanese exclusive crochet hook kits. I will show this more in another video. I'm just going to show it kind of briefly right here. Basically, it's got some of like the metal piece and these fancier crochet hooks with the grips. This metal hook right here, it goes all the way through this rubber piece, and you can even see it, that little hole right there. You can see the gold color in there. And these are the exact same brand of hooks and the exact same metal or the exact same wire and the exact same look, except they don't have the grips. On one side it says Tulip, on the other side it says the sizes. This is a nice little kit that you can get. Costs like about $40 or so. And yeah, it has the 2.21 in there that I like. And it has a good range of sizes of hooks in this turquoisey color kit. And you can find this on Amazon, like I said, for around $40. I don't carry that with me because I don't use all the hooks in it, and my bag is kind of small. So yeah. Last but not least, so if this is just kind of a little, maybe a tip for your crochet supplies, but I do have this small bag, and all of this stuff is small enough that I can kind of toss it in here, aside from like these pins that I keep in a tin. I keep the pin in a tin to keep them from getting all over the place. So I don't have other bags within this bag really. But if you do have a larger bag, like if you want to carry your stuff around in more of a side bag or a duffel bag or a box, it's good to have lots of little, like these little pouches. You can keep all kinds of stuff in them. So this is a Hello Kitty one that I found on the Sanrio website. I like Hello Kitty. I just think that make me happy. Yeah, doesn't that make you happy? Anyways, and then I just keep extra stuff in here right now. I don't know what this is. I think that's what I got the safety pins in. Here's these are those extra pins that I was talking about. You can kind of see maybe what I mean here, why that paint that people say rubs off. You see how it's, instead of being like in a shiny metallic look, it's more of a flat color. So this stuff apparently has a tendency to rub off on your crochet, on your yarn when you're working, and I don't want that to happen. So got all these different painted colors that came with it, and you can see this is where I took out my green and gold and purple ones. So yeah. Other little tins that I use. Here's a little tin that had mints in it. I love little tins. I just love them. I love little tins. I keep some. What do I keep in here? There's probably more stitch markers in here. Yeah, these are the plastic ones. So these are those thicker needles. This is another small, like, Altoids container I thought was pretty cool. Sometimes I'll buy, if I see a cool tin in the store, I'll just buy it for the tin, and like I'll dump the mints out into a Ziploc bag or something. These are not mints. These are the thicker needles that are good for some of the larger yarns that I was talking about. And let's see. No, I'll just give one more little thing that I do sometimes. This is a Ziploc bag. I have a lot of Ziploc bags. They're very convenient and handy. This Ziploc bag, I have some bits of like yarn that I could use for blush. I have some like little applique or applique or however you say it, little stars in here that you can glue on. Some eyeballs. Yeah, so this is something where like I'll keep with me sometimes just to have like extra stuff. You know, you never know, like if you're working on a project and you're not at home, say you need to do some blush or something really quick, you don't need to bring the whole skein of yarn with you. You can just have like a little bit of it and clip it off and take it with you. Or a few eyes. I have a box of eyes, so these are not all of them, but you know, take a few eyes with you, take a little bit of yarn. Yeah, kind of a good idea to have that kind of stuff on hand. And that's really all I got for you. So thank you. I'll probably do some more videos. I'll probably talk about yarn in my next video. How about that? Talk about yarn, and then maybe I'll do one on, do a little bit more of an extensive thing on all the crochet hooks that I have collected at some point. But yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't. I don't know if that's going to do me any good right now. I'm not planning on becoming rich off this. I just felt like doing a video. So everybody take care.